Alexa, what's the future of Sales Navigator?
I don't know that.
That's okay, I do. So I'm Doug, I run products for Sales Solutions, and when we got together about a year ago, we laid out the future vision for Sales Navigator. We call it the system of engagement. Now the system of engagement is something that's meant to complement the systems of communication and the systems of record and integrate deeply with both. We ultimately want to create something that is focused on productivity for individuals and managers, and we're setting about to do that. So this year, we've had a theme in the product team about working together. And that means a few things. It means working together better across your organization, working together better across your sales team, and ultimately, even working together better within and across your sales tools. So today, we're going to make 5 announcements about the future of Sales Navigator that tie into this theme that I think you're really going to like. So you ready? Come on, are you ready? All right. So let's start with mobile. So we've really doubled down on mobile in the last year, often releasing features for mobile before anything else. But we don't want to just make the Sales Navigator mobile app a clone of the LinkedIn mobile app. We want it to be complementary. We want it to focus on the sales reps. And we want it to ultimately answer the question of NBA. No, not that NBA, that NBA. Next best action. Bless you. So we really want to focus on a rep coming in the morning, taking out their Sales Navigator mobile phone, taking a look at the Sales Navigator mobile app, and having it answer some questions for you, like, who am I meeting with today and how do I prep for those meetings? What are some important money alerts, things that could cost me money or make me money that I need to know about? And so we have totally redesigned the Sales Navigator mobile homepage and have an exciting new feature we call mobile briefings. And to tell you more about it, I'd like to bring the newest member of our team, Sam Lewis, to the stage. Sam?
Thank you very much, Doug. So when a sales rep goes into the office in the morning, the first thing on his or her mind is, what are the urgent sales actions that I need to be aware of that are going to define my day? And even if I am aware of them, am I prepared for them? Now, we think really with our new mobile designed homepage and new strategy that we've gotten closer to addressing that question. So let's dive right in. I want to show you guys what we've been working on. Now you can see in this example here that our sales rep Dora has a notification from LinkedIn. It's telling her that she has 10 sales actions to review today, and 3 of those are mobile meeting briefings. Now this is a big change philosophically from what we've been doing in the past, because now Dora can rely on Sales Navigator on a morning-to-morning basis to prep her for her next best sales actions, just like Doug had mentioned. So let's see what that means and take a closer look. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that it has a completely redesigned to our homepage. Reps now have the ability to sync their calendars with Sales Navigator so they can automatically be pushed context and updates on their upcoming meetings. In Dora's case, she has 3 meetings remaining for the rest of the day, and she has the ability to have Sales Navigator sort those chronologically and pair the LinkedIn profiles with the various meeting participants. So really cool stuff. Speaking of Dora, it looks like she actually has one of those meetings coming up in 20 minutes, so she better get to work and start preparing. To do that, she drills into the Trustway meeting card, and she can see the basic information she needs up top: subject, time, location, everything that she's going to need to be able to be ready. And after that, she can get a bird's eye view of all the participants that are going to be in that meeting, both internal and external. In the case of Emily Kennedy here, she sees that she has 4 mutual connections. So these are people she should probably call beforehand for things like, what's Emily's personality, or have they been vendors with her in the past? In Noah's case, she actually has a mutual group that she's in with him. And any sales leader in the crowd, and I've been a salesperson myself before, knows that building rapport with things like this in the beginning of the call is incredibly important to building credibility. So now she's ready, right? So she takes the call, and now she says it's a success, and then she wants to take notes on it. Fortunately, she has the ability to hop into the Trustway account page right here. She can look up more information on the business, or she can choose to take a note. Now, I'll save us all the trouble of how the call went. She says it went really well. They want to have a demo next week, and they're seriously evaluating tools this time. So what she can do now is quickly type it in, hit save, and voila. She's not only saved the note to her personal Sales Navigator account, but she's also saved it back to her CRM so everybody else in the company can see it. So that's, as you can see, how daily meeting briefings helps with reps both pre and post meeting to be more effective, aware, and efficient. So now that that's done, Dora can go back to her opening homepage and see that her next call isn't for a couple hours. So in this case, on her way back to her desk, she scrolls down and she gets to look at some of those urgent actions sales alerts that Jonathan touched on earlier in the presentation. Now, these are things that we've surfaced from the rest of the lead and account news that are really time sensitive in her book of business. Things like job changes or 5 leads that have saved her profile. Someone who's changed jobs is somebody that she's going to want to reach out to be the first vendor in at her new stop. The 5 leads that have viewed her profile, this is probably the last couple weeks of her prospecting efforts starting to bear their fruit. So these are people that want more information and she should reach out to them. A perfect social sell. And lastly, we have the lead and account updates that you've all become accustomed to at the bottom. So don't worry, the rest of the information on her entire book of business is still there. So there you have it, the mobile daily briefings, redesigned homepage, and urgent sale alerts. These are just the first of many new innovations we plan to bring you guys as we head into 2018. Thank you, so stay tuned. Back to you, Doug.
So cool. So for those of you who don't know, Sales Navigator Mobile is free with your Sales Navigator subscription, available on both iOS and Android, so make sure you and your teams download it and check it out today. So we all know that selling is a team sport, but to date, Sales Navigator has mostly been an application for individuals. In fact, we know that when you run a formal collaboration process over an ad hoc one, your teams are going to be more productive. CSO Insights believes there's a 21% increase on quota attainment when you actually implement a formal collaboration process rather than just leaving it to chance. So we decided to take Sales Navigator and build it from the ground up with collaboration in mind. You're going to start to see a bunch of these interface changes roll out over the next few quarters, and I'm very excited to show some of them to you today. And to help me do that, I'd like to bring my colleague Lindsay Edwards to the stage. Lindsay?
Thank you. So Doug's correct. Traditionally, in the Sales Navigator team, we've really focused on the individual user, making it easier for them to find potential leads and establish relationships with key influencers in a buying decision. But with the acquisition of Point Drive last year, we really began to embrace the opportunity to bring collaboration into the Sales Navigator product, starting first with something that Point Drive excels at, sharing content. But that's really just the beginning. As Doug alluded to, we've already started on a major project to completely redesign the desktop Sales Navigator experience, starting first with a brand new global navigation and search experience. Some of you in the room may already be seeing this in your desktop Sales Navigator experience. If you aren't seeing it today, you will over the next couple of weeks. Our goal with this redesign is twofold. One, bringing saved searches to the forefront. Saved searches allow you and your teams to automatically be notified anytime new accounts or leads fall into your saved search criteria. Number 2, lists. Salespeople often think of the world in terms of lists. Lists of accounts and leads, lists of deals I want to close this quarter, lists of customers coming up for renewal. We want Sales Navigator to be the place you and your teams come to manage these lists. So over the course of the year, we will be making continuous improvements to lists, starting first with opportunities and customers automatically synced from your CRM system, ultimately automating a process that is manual today. But the types of lists you can create are really endless. So we know we need a quick and easy workflow for you to create custom lists and share those lists with your teams and coworkers for collaboration. On the heels of the global nav and search experience redesign, we'll also be bringing brand new leads and account pages. You can see here on the top card a streamlined view of this profile, making it easy to scan through profiles and understand the potential quality of this lead. If I've determined this lead is a potential lead, I can go ahead and get suggestions on the best ways to reach out to them or common profile attributes and interests. Of course, you can still scroll down in this profile and see the full goodness of the LinkedIn profile, as well as other similar leads within the accounts. Next up, the new account page. Again, a streamlined experience at the top, making it easier to view and assess potential of this new account. One of my favorite enhancements with the new accounts page is the News and Insights. The News and Insights tab here will automatically notify me any time an account that I care about is mentioned in the news, posts on LinkedIn, or if any new leads, potential leads, join the company or change roles within the organization. So with the new accounts and leads pages, we're aiming to make it just that much easier to understand and get in the Sales Navigator product and get the most value from the accounts and leads pages. But if I drill down to the activity tab, this is really where we start bringing information into the product that you can't get anywhere else. Imagine a new potential account popping on your radar, a high priority for this quarter. I can log into my Sales Navigator account, find this company, drill down to the activity, and see everyone in my organization who has contacted this company over time via InMail, or point drives viewed across the team, or even calls made via the mobile application. With a brand new redesigned navigation and search experience, new accounts and leads pages, shared lists and activities, you will really see us this year deliver additional value and features to bring collaboration to the forefront in Sales Navigator. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Really excited about the collaboration features and their ability for Sales Navigator to add value to more and more of your sales organization over time. So now we've talked a little bit about the individuals and other functions in the sales organization, but we haven't really talked about the managers yet. And to date, again, Sales Navigator hasn't done a lot to help managers in their role. We know that pipeline review is a fact of life for high-functioning sales organizations, and a weekly pipeline review is really what the top reps are doing with their managers. But come on, we know what those meetings are like. It's this inquisition. You're sitting there with a spreadsheet or a static CRM report. You're asking a bunch of questions, when as a manager, you really only want to know the answer to two. Am I going to make my number? And how can I help? So earlier this year, we acquired a company called Heighten, who had spent their time trying to focus on how to improve the productivity between managers and reps. And I'm excited to show you today the first of Heighten's features that we're going to be rolling into Sales Navigator. And to tell you more about it, I'd like to bring the CEO and founder of Heighten, Luke Brow, to the stage. Luke?
Thanks a lot, Doug. So first of all, the entire Heighten team is really proud to be part of LinkedIn, and I'm excited to show you what we've been working on. So for the last 3 years while we were building Heighten, we spent time with hundreds of sales managers. And in every single one of those conversations, there was a common theme. Managing pipeline is really hard. Now, traditionally, this is done through static CRM reports or more likely, spreadsheets. You've probably seen a spreadsheet that looks something like this in your past. And don't get me wrong, I love spreadsheets. They're fantastic for many things. But there's two key challenges that they present in the context of managing your pipeline. And number one is, when you make updates to these spreadsheets, they rarely make it back into CRM. And if they do, it requires double data entry. And second, there's really no way to deliver real-time intelligence that helps you as a manager make decisions about areas where you can intervene, where deals may be at risk, where you can really help or coach. And so that leads to the sort of the dreaded 20 questions conversation, right? You've probably been in one of these, or at least you've heard about them. You sit down with your rep and you're going through the pipeline deal by deal by deal, asking the same questions over and over again. And this is just crazy. Given the technology and the data that we have access to today, certainly we can do better than this. And that's exactly what we're doing. And this is what we call Deal Book. Now within Sales Navigator, you can create a custom view tailored exactly to how you manage your pipeline, exposing the fields that you use to measure progress based on your proprietary sales process or a sales methodology. Additionally, within that report, right in line, you can update those fields and in real time have that data propagate back to CRM. Again, preventing the double data entry. And last but probably most exciting, we finally have a vehicle to deliver that intelligence, those insights that help you make great decisions about where you need to intervene when a deal may be at risk. So let's just take a quick look at a sort of real-world day-in-the-life scenario. So pretend I'm a sales manager, and I'm sitting down with my rep, Dora, and we're going to talk through her pipeline. And the first thing I notice here is that she's missing next steps on this first deal with Fixdex. Obviously a big red flag if you don't know what your next steps are. And I asked Dora, and she says, oh, don't worry. I actually know exactly what the next steps are. I'm already moving on them. I just didn't update CRM. Okay, cool. Let's just do it right here while we're talking. Let's type in the next steps, and boom, CRM's up to date. We can move on. The next thing that jumps out at me is a big red flag on the next deal for Trustway. I see a big red flag on the buyer circle. So let's drill into the buyer circle and take a look. So this is another exciting new feature we're building, and again, we call it the buyer circle. As you guys know from experience and as the data now supports, engaging with the right people on the buyer side at the right time is actually a critical factor in whether or not a deal succeeds. And so we've made it really easy for sales managers to define those key buyer roles. Furthermore, and this is a common theme here, this maps directly to the same concepts in CRM around linking contacts to roles to opportunities. And so any change I make here will immediately be reflected in CRM, preventing that double data entry. Okay, so back to Dora. I see that she has not identified a buyer on this deal. It's in stage 3. That's a giant red flag if you don't know who the buyer is at this point. Once again, I press her on it, and it turns out she says she knows who the buyer is. She's had multiple communications with him, but he's brand new at the company, and he didn't exist as a contact in CRM. So she just didn't update the information. Okay, again, cool. We can do that right here. So we'll search for Noah, and you see that we're leveraging data from CRM and LinkedIn at the same time to present the most relevant selections. Noah pops up as the first item. We simply drag Noah into the buyer slot. And if you remember, she didn't update this information because that contact did not exist on the account. And so with a single click, we add that contact to the account. Now, of course, member privacy is critical for us here at LinkedIn. And so we are only copying name and title in this case. Cool, my buyer circle's up to date. We're good to go. So what normally would take 30 minutes of back and forth just took 5 minutes. And furthermore, at the end of this conversation, there's no additional data entry required. CRM's already up to date. So that's the first iteration of Dealbook. There's obviously much more to come, but we're really excited to get this into the hands of all our sales managers. We believe it's going to have a fundamental impact on how they manage their pipeline. Thanks.
All right, isn't that awesome? That's pretty cool. So, when we acquired Heighton, they were charging somewhere between $50 to $75 per seat per month per user. And so we sat back and said, what should we charge? And here's what we decided. We decided to make the Dealbook functionality you just saw free with every edition of Team and Enterprise edition of Sales Navigator. How about that? All right, I'm going to shift gears now for a minute, and let's turn to the world of marketing. Now, we'd all love to believe in a perfect world of a Venn diagram of who sales is targeting and who marketing is targeting, that those were perfectly overlapping circles. And I can tell by the chuckles in the room, you know it's not even close to that. In fact, it looks more like this. And we actually went and did the research. You might tell by now we're pretty focused on numbers here in LinkedIn. So we went and did the research with our own customers and looked at the overlap and who they're targeting on the sales side and the marketing side, and we were kind of shocked. In small businesses, that overlap was only 14%. In enterprises, it averaged only 34%. And in fact, the highest number we got to was still shy of 60%. So no one is doing it perfectly. That's about to change. So as Jonathan alluded to earlier, for the first time, we're going to bring LinkedIn's sales clouds and marketing clouds together in an exciting new way. Here's how it's going to work. If you are a LinkedIn advertiser using sponsored updates, you use a product called Campaign Manager, and you'll connect that contract to your Sales Navigator contract, and immediately there'll be two new groups that appear based on the saved leads and the saved accounts that your reps are going after. And because these two systems are live connected, as reps are adding new leads or unsaving leads or adding accounts or unsaving accounts, those lists stay in sync. And now we're going to start with these two generic lists, but we're going to give you a lot more granularity over time so that you can start to target things by stage or by which product the rep is going after and selling as well. So again, connecting these two systems for the first time to give you a full 360-degree view on the sales and marketing funnel. And we've been working hard at this for the year with a few pilot customers, and while it's early, the results are really promising. So for example, go back here. In the case of Unit 4, a customer we were working with, they saw a 5x increase on the conversion rate when they A/B tested what they were doing before and what they did when they went after lists that were based on saved leads and accounts. And all of our pilot customers have seen increases not only in conversions, but in other stats like in-mail response rate, and company page views, and seller profile views. But we're going to take that one step further and also start to bring some of those engagement signals back into Sales Navigator. And so here's how that's going to work. If you have saved a set of accounts as a rep, you will suddenly start to see some sales alerts as those accounts, any lead in that account, starts to engage with your sponsored content on LinkedIn. So you'll start to see when somebody is liking a post or sharing a post or commenting on a post. And that's a great signal that somebody is actually paying attention to your brand and really engaging with the content that marketing is putting out there. But again, we want to go even further in terms of bringing these buyer intent signals back into Sales Navigator. Now, you may have heard we made an investment earlier this year into a company called G2 Crowd. It's one of the leading sites for B2B software and services reviews out there. And we're really excited to start to do some integration with the G2 Crowd product. Let me give you a taste of what that is going to look like. So G2 Crowd, if I'm listed and my product is on G2 Crowd knows my pages and also knows my competitor set. And so if you're a G2 Crowd customer and you're a Sales Navigator customer, we'll link those two systems together. And suddenly when any of my saved accounts are taking a look at my pages or my competitors' pages on G2 Crowd, you'll see an alert come in that says, hey, people at this company are actually checking out your reviews on G2 Crowd. This is a phenomenal buying signal or churn signal. You might think you have that deal in the bag, and suddenly this shows up in your inbox and you know you have to get on it. Okay? So this is just the first of some of the things that we're going to do in this two-way conversation between sales and marketing and pushing things out to folks via marketing and then bringing the signals back into Sales Navigator. And we're going to open up the pilot program to a bunch of other folks in the next few months. So if you go to the shortened address for link.in/sales-marketing-pilot, really easy to remember, you can go apply to be one of those pilot customers as well. Okay, for our fifth announcement, let's talk about integration. Now, in the beginning, I talked about the system of engagement and integrating with the system of communication and the system of record, and that's really what we spent a lot of time last year focusing on. We opened up APIs for the first time in Sales Navigator to the leading CRM applications so that they could go integrate Sales Navigator information directly into lead and account and contact pages and be able to display information without having to jump back and forth between tabs. And we also did an integration on the email side last year. We integrated with Gmail, so you could have the power of Sales Navigator directly in your inbox as you mouse over an email, immediately see the Sales Navigator card for that person. And I'm pleased to announce we're going to take that to Outlook as well in the beginning of next year. But we know that people spend time in a lot more tools than just email and CRM. In fact, on average, Smart Selling Tools believes that about 6 tools a week are being used by the average rep in small businesses, and that number is even higher in large companies. To help bring that power together and bring a common identity for people and companies as your reps are moving back and forth in and out of these tools, we've announced, or are announcing, the Sales Navigator application platform. And to tell you more about it, I'd like to bring Steve Kaplan to the stage. Steve?
Snap, the Sales Navigator application platform. And we're expanding our partnerships beyond CRM and email integrations into 5 new categories: marketing automation, web conferencing, sales acceleration, e-signature, and business intelligence. But instead of standing up here and talking to you about Snap, what I'd like to do is show you a day in the life. Our story begins with Oscar, a sales development representative at my favorite fictitious IT security company, Flexis. And Flexis has connected their website up to Demandbase. Demandbase is a fantastic tool that they're using to really target and segment visitors to their website. And one of the fantastic features of Demandbase is what they call the account assistant. The account assistant is delivering real-time notifications to Oscar within Slack, letting him know that a new customer, Trustway, is on their website, as well as a bit more information about the products and content that this customer is browsing. But with our integration into Sales Navigator, what Oscar is able to do now is he's able to understand a bit more about the Trustway account in one click. And in this example, he can start doing a bit more research into who are some of the key decision makers at the Trustway account, like Noah, their director of IT. So what can Oscar do? He can save him as a lead in Sales Navigator, but not only does this save him in his list of saved leads in Sales Navigator, this tees him up into a sponsored update campaign, just like Doug mentioned earlier. So that when Noah logs into LinkedIn.com and he looks at his newsfeed, he's able to see this sponsored update about Flexis' threat detection products. And it looks like there's an upcoming webinar, so he wants to inquire and find out more about what's going on here. Well, when Noah taps on this sponsored update, we automatically fill the form for him. We automatically take all the details from his LinkedIn profile, fill this out, and when he saves this, this now gets entered as a new inbound lead into Flexis' CRM for the sales development team to follow up. So at this point, it's time to reach out. And Oscar's weapon of choice for this is going to be InsideSales.com, which gives him all the tools and insights he needs for effective outreach and effective follow-through. Now, Inside Sales can be used across any channel, but one of the really cool features of Inside Sales is their AI engine that's actually flagged Noah's phone number as having a high likelihood to respond. So Oscar's going to reach out on the phone directly and talk to Noah. And once he gets connected, what you can see is that he can use all the insights, both from InsideSales.com as well as Sales Navigator, to help him build rapport and break the ice with his new client. So he can use things like mutual connections. He can use things like common groups, common interests, or even looking at some of the recent activity that Noah's posted on LinkedIn.com. And when he's wrapping up his call, he can take a few notes, he can log those back to CRM, and he can schedule a follow-up call with his account executive, Dora. So a few days later, it's time for Dora's meeting with Trustway. And Dora's going to hop onto a BlueJeans call because BlueJeans gives her a great high-fidelity interaction with her potential client. Now, for those of you familiar with BlueJeans or other web conferencing tools, you'll see a lot of familiar things here. We're sharing content, we can see names and faces, we can do some chatting and things like that. But now with the Sales Navigator integration, Dora's able to find out a bit more about the people who have joined this call. So Dora's going to mouse over Noah's face, and she immediately sees Noah's profile. She kind of knew that Noah was going to be joining the call, but this gives her that validation that she's speaking to the right person. But what you also notice is that there's some uninvited guests on this call. I think we've all been in the situation where people join your web conference and you didn't invite them originally. So what Dora is also able to do is mouse over the face of Emily, Noah's head of finance at Trustway. And now she can understand a bit more about Emily. She can understand mutual connections, people that she might want to name drop in the course of conversation. And at the end of her call, as she's wrapping up, she can connect with Emily on LinkedIn, all without leaving Blue Jeans. Now, after a great call, it's really important as a great account executive that Dora is able to nurture this deal to close and follow up meticulously. So what she's going to do is set up a cadence within SalesLoft. And when Dora's setting up a cadence in SalesLoft, she's going to begin by personalizing her message. And what we're now doing within SalesLoft is not just giving you all the SalesLoft insights, but all the account insights from Sales Navigator. She can see things like the fact that Trustway just opened up a European office, and this is going to be a great thing that she might want to read up on and mention in the course of conversation. But because she's sending this through SalesLoft, this means that it's going to set up a cadence. This means that it's going to make sure to follow up with her customer. If her customer doesn't respond, it's going to make sure that her additional messages get delivered at the right time so that they land at the top of Noah and Emily's inbox. And all of this is also going to get tracked back to CRM. And as her client, Trustway, is engaging with her email and with subsequent messages that she's sending across, SalesLoft is giving her full visibility into who's opening it, where's that message going, are they still interested? So she really does have a really good pulse on whether or not Trustway is still interested in moving forward with the deal. And it looks like they are, so it's time to sign the deal. And to do this, what Emily's going to do is she's going to load up a really cool new e-signature tool called GetAccept. Now, the first step in GetAccept is to upload the agreement and identify the people that you want to send it to. Just like we saw in Blue Jeans, within GetAccept, I can click into any of the different people and I can verify their identities to make sure that I'm sending this to the right person. But the superpower of GetAccept is really around how they allow you to personalize that message that you're sending with your agreement to your client. So this is really all about saying, how do we get this deal across the line, make that outreach more personalized, either through video, which we're not showing here today, but also through interactive chat. So what Dora is going to do is she's going to put a personalized message into the agreement here. This is now going to pop as a chat bubble when Noah goes to sign the deal so that Noah can start chatting immediately with Emily and asking a few more questions that he might have about the agreement. But what Dora's going to do here is she's also going to look at some of the common connections that they have, some of these common connections that are actually customer references that she can mention as she's sending the agreement across. So really personalizing that message and using the Sales Navigator insights to help her craft that. And on the receiving end, what's really cool about this for Noah is that we talked earlier about how Noah can, in one click, fill his form details on LinkedIn.com or join that Blue Jeans meeting by signing in with LinkedIn. But what Noah's also able to do here is he's also able to sign in to GetAccept with LinkedIn. And this makes it really easy for him to make sure that all of his details are captured in the tool and that Flexis has much better data quality on their end. So from lead generation to closing the deal, you've just seen how Flexis has used Sales Navigator people and company identities inside top-notch sales productivity tools to always stay on top of the relationship. Back to you, Doug.
So what you saw up here was just a handful of our launch partners using what we call the display API. How do you display Sales Navigator information inside of the specific applications that your reps are using? But on top of the 7 CRM apps we have 16 launch partners today, including some of the most innovative sales and marketing apps out there, and 3 more that we're about to talk to you about in just a second. So very excited to have these launch partners on board. We just launched a brand new partner website today. So if you go to it, you can find out who these launch partners are, find a little bit more about their solution. And if you are interested in also joining the partner program, you can go apply there. But in addition to people wanting to display information, we know that sales operations managers would also like to pull information out of Sales Navigator so they can better analyze the effectiveness of the application across their sales org. And so we want to talk to you about a second API. That's the Analytics API, where we've partnered with leading business intelligence tools for our Enterprise Edition customers. And to tell you a little bit more about it, I'm going to bring Alex Kioki to the stage.
Hello. Thank you, Doug. So let's run the numbers with Ernest, the sales manager at Flexis. Ernest is constantly trying to grow his reps towards crushing their quotas. So when he opens up his email for the day, he can see here that Dora's social selling index, an aggregate measure of her activities on LinkedIn and Sales Navigator, has dipped to 58. And because sales is a relationship business, he requires the team to maintain a threshold of at least 60. So he clicks on the See Full Report button, and immediately he gets a leaderboard of his team's social selling. And if we zoom in on Dora, we can see the greatest area for improvement is in red, engaging with insights. And this is liking, commenting, and posting on LinkedIn. So he makes a mental note to follow up with Dora in his next one-on-one. Now, in addition to SSI, InMail, and specifically InMail response, is one of the great leading indicators of building pipeline. And with this InMail performance dashboard, Ernest can see how his sales development reps are building pipeline with InMail. And if we zoom in on Oscar, the sales development rep, we find that he isn't sending the most InMails in his gray bar, but his green bar indicates he has the most responses and the highest response rate. So he must have a template or some best practices that he's using that could be shared with the rest of the sales development organization. So Ernest makes a mental note of that to follow up. Now, the greatest indication that a deal is about to close is connections. And with this connections report, we can see how many connections it takes for the average deal at Flexis to close. And it turns out for Flexis, the magic number is 6 connections, the peak of this graph. Ernest now knows what it takes to win. In 2018, we will release our analytics API with the following initial business intelligence partners: Insight Squared, Tableau, and Power BI. Together, we will equip your sales operations and sales leaders to ensure best practices, find what your best reps are doing, and uncover what it takes to win. Thank you. Back to you, Doug.
All right, so those are our 5 announcements. You can get up in the morning and have a more productive day with mobile briefings. You can have your sales team start to facilitate workflow much better through Sales Navigator with our collaboration features. We can go improve dramatically the rep to manager interaction process with Dealbook. We can suddenly have marketing targeting exactly the same leads and accounts that the sales team is going after. And finally, we can bring the power of Sales Navigator directly into the apps that your reps are using every day. So what do you think? Well, I'm glad you like it because we have one more thing. All of you, I know, would love us to just put LinkedIn data directly into your CRM, right? Yeah. But we're all LinkedIn members, right? So as a LinkedIn member, I don't want my personal information to go into LinkedIn, like my email address and phone number. We think we found a bridge. We call it LinkedIn data validation. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Yeah. Very sexy name. So LinkedIn data validation is a set of capabilities that we're going to be bringing to our Enterprise Edition customers over the next year. And we're starting with a feature called No Longer at Company. So for our CRM Sync Enterprise Edition customers, we are syncing and taking a look at all of the people and the companies in the CRM and trying to match them to LinkedIn identities every day in that sync process. And when you're in Sales Navigator, you see a little in CRM bug, so we know those things are connected. We've gotten pretty good at doing it. But what we're going to do with LinkedIn data validation is add another field. So here in Salesforce, you'll see a new field called No Longer at Company. And when we do run that process every single day, if we notice that that person has left that old job and is in a new job, not an overlapping job, but a new job, we'll mark that field as yes. Now, because this is written in CRM, you can use this to trigger all kinds of workflow rules. You can pull that person out of an ad campaign or an email campaign or a nurturing campaign. You can take them out of a dialing campaign or even trigger a cleanup process. But let me give you 2 other examples that I think are pretty exciting. So we all know that when you're looking at your pipeline, you're in Salesforce, that one of the things that's always frustrating is when a deal suddenly goes silent on you or a deal goes quiet on you. And oftentimes that happens because a key decision maker or a key contact for that company is left. You don't know about it yet. So in this example, we've got about 1.72 million in pipeline. I'm going to go in and drill down and take a look at only the deals where I have a contact associated with that deal that's no longer with the company. What I quickly see is that's actually a decent chunk of that. Wow, that's 670,000 of that 1.7 million. That's 20 deals. But furthermore, let me go take a look at the deals that really matter. What are the ones that are in the last stage, in the negotiation review stage? And here we see that over 40% of the revenue that we're expecting in negotiation review has contacts that are no longer associated with that deal. No bueno. So that's one example. How do you make sure that you can focus on the deals that might go sideways on you? Let me give you another. So we all have tremendous champions inside of our existing customers who give us case studies and quotes and stand up on stage and panels for us. But those people change jobs too. So what if you can now take a look at my closed won deals, take a look at all the contacts suddenly who are no longer at the companies that they were at when I closed that deal. We see if we drill in here, our old friend Noah Gold is actually an executive vice president. Wow, that's a pretty good promotion. And sure enough, the no longer at company field is marked as yes. So now we know we can reach out and Noah could be a perfect champion for this new account that he's at, Solar Slash, that we haven't yet closed. So that's just the first taste of LinkedIn data validation. We're going to bring in a lot of capabilities under this umbrella over the next year, so stay tuned. All right, so just in conclusion here, as we start to wrap, I want to emphasize that we know that this is a partnership. We know this is a two-way dialogue, and we don't always do the best in terms of facilitating that. And so we want to go deeper on a few things that can make it easier for you to communicate with us, communicate with each other, and to plan and deploy your Sales Navigator implementation. So I'm going to give you 3 things towards that. The first is a Sales Navigator community website. This is going to be a way for you to go to a single place and get best practices of how to best leverage Sales Navigator, how to communicate with other members of the Sales Navigator community, hundreds of thousands of users, and even give product feedback directly into the product team. This will be launching to all Sales Navigator customers before the end of this year. Next, we have something called Account Center. And this is not just for Sales Navigator. This is actually for all of LinkedIn's enterprise products. This is going to make it possible for administrators to more easily manage seats, transfer seats, and see their contract information, whether you're a Talent Solutions customer, Sales Solutions customer, Marketing Solutions customer, or Learning Solutions customer. And that will be rolling out next year. And finally, we realize that we have really upped the pace of product innovation on you in the last year. I would wager that most of you and your users don't actually know about all the great capabilities that are now available to them for free inside of Sales Navigator. And we know it's frustrating, especially when somebody's giving training and we've suddenly released a brand new user interface and your materials that you have don't match the training, and it's really hard to manage that deployment. So starting in January 2018, we're going to switch to a quarterly release process. Spring, summer, winter, and fall will give you training, screenshots, all the details of what's coming in that release well in advance, and we'll give it to your administrators first. They have time to play around with the features and get comfortable with them before rolling them out to the rest of the company and audience. So those are the 3 things that we're doing towards our partnership. And before I wrap, I'd like to just say thank you, a couple thank yous. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone in the LinkedIn Sales Solutions team. They've been up day and night working on this stuff, and it's because of their hard efforts that you see everything up here on stage. So please put your hands together for them. It is really an honor and a privilege to work with such an amazing group. Also, I would like to say thank you to you, our customers and partners. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and it's because of you that we get to do what we love. So give yourself a round of applause as well. Thank you. And finally, I'm going to give you 2 parting gifts. I feel a little like Oprah right now. Okay? So the first is, due to the hard work of our mobile team, all of you in this room are the first customers outside LinkedIn to get the mobile briefings feature in your Sales Navigator app today. So if you download the iOS app of Sales Navigator Mobile, you'll see the mobile briefings feature before anyone else outside of LinkedIn. And the second one, this is as close as I'm probably going to get to a paparazzi moment. If you pull out your phone and open up your favorite camera or QR reader, you know you have that presentation, and I've seen you taking photos throughout this presentation. You're like, oh, what's that slide? What's that slide? And you're like, oh, we'll get it to you in a couple weeks. I'm going to give it to you now. So if you take a photo of that, you will get a point drive. This is what paparazzi feels like. This is kind of cool. So you'll get a point drive of this presentation that you just saw immediately in your inbox. And if for any reason it doesn't work, don't worry, we'll be emailing it out to you in the next few days. So I'll leave it up for another second. Everybody good? Or you can use that URL at the bottom if you take a photo. So that's the product update. Thank you so much for your time.